Hello again, it's Thursday, December 10th. Welcome to day 10 of our COVID Christmas books. I'm Pauline, I run the Scrapbook Room, a mobile and online scrapbook store, and I offer inspiration and friendship in the Scrapbook Playroom, a private Facebook group for paper crafters just like you. So let's get started. Actually, before we get started, I realized as my videos were uploading yesterday that I forgot to show you my pages for December 9th. So let's take a quick look now. First of all, the little album. In the little album, I did Stay with the Ugly Sweater prompt. One of the cut-aparts had this little bear on it, and it looks like he's wearing a Christmas sweater. Above it, it says, "Have a very Merry Christmas." I've really been able to put this sheet to use in this mini album. I hope you're noticing how easy it is to repurpose these little squares. So on this page, I cut the image down, as I knew I didn't have too much space because I wanted to put a photo mat. I didn't want to fussy cut it today, so I trimmed it as small as I could without cutting the image. Then I cut the words Berry and Mary out to fill the white space. That white space was bugging me because it was a little disproportionate on each side. I matted the image on green cardstock and I rounded the corners on both layers. Notice I cut off a bit of the Y in Mary, but I bet if I hadn't pointed it out, you would have never noticed. That's why I say don't sweat the small stuff when you're working on your albums. I used yellow for the photo mat here, picking up on the yellow in Santa's suspenders on the previous page, and that page is good to go. And for my own page, I'm cheating a little bit today. I was looking at this page and thinking about what to do, as I don't have any photos of anyone in sweaters or anything like that. Then I decided I'll try to get a few photos in the next couple of weeks or so and put them on this page. I'm pretty sure our baby Bo will have a more than one Christmas outfit. I have a Christmas penguin shirt, and that's a start. And the squares are already here, ready for the photos. So this page is ready for photos. And I made a note of what I'm planning to do on my master sheet as well. Now, back to disasters. How are you rating this year as far as disasters go? Is this the ultimate worst Christmas you've had to deal with? What have you had to cancel? Who are you missing this year? Are you going to be alone or with a very small group after a lifetime of huge gatherings? Or is your Christmas always quiet? Maybe you're going to have one of those ghost holidays where everyone shows, but no one knows. So is 2020 the worst that's happened to you at Christmas? Can you top it with something worse? Somebody's hubby thought the gifts in the green garbage bags were, well, garbage and threw them out one year. I was away the year the power went out, and some people went a few days without power, and yes, without turkey. So tell all, how will you rate 2020 in comparison to other Christmases? Be light and silly, or serious? Up to you. Reflect. For today's page in the mini album, I kept it simple. I used a red photo mat. I made a little title out of my label maker that says, "Oh, what fun," and I used one of the decorative borders along with it. And then I decided I would make a border in blue the same size for the top. It gives a little more space for the photo and it ties the top to the bottom. I was a little crooked here, but I decided that isn't going to show when you get a full-size picture on it. It'll be just fine. So that was easy. In my own album, I realized after I started this prompt on disasters that it's the anniversary of my father's death, 41 years ago. That was a disaster. My mother was 42. I was 21. And my siblings included a 15-year-old and a 10-year-old. 2020 doesn't come near to how disastrous that year was. So I will be doing a tribute to my dad on this page. This is a picture from when we were young. It was before my sister Bridget was born, but 4 of us are in the picture. I'll be using this on the page, and I will do a flip through of the entire album when I have it all completed. Stay tuned now for our tips coming right up. Welcome back. Disasters happen everywhere, even in our scrapbooks. Think about those overpowering papers that we never use. just because they're, well, a little too loud. But wait, there is a solution for those types of papers. Sometimes a paper overpowers your photos. You know what I mean, right? Those pieces of scrapbook paper that are just too loud. So loud we don't know what to do with them. And so we shuffle them around, we move them back and forth, just never knowing what to do. Well, today I've got 5 suggestions for you. I'm going to show you them. The first thing, take some papers like these. I'm going to move my camera up just a wee bit here, sorry. Okay, we're a little close, but you can see anyway. So the first thing you can do with pieces like this is to use smaller pieces. So for example, we'll take the mini book here. Now, when you look at this page, the fa la la, you're thinking, wow, that is really loud. Notice how we're putting this rectangular mat on. Helps mellow it down. And how about this red strip? We started with this, and we took a little piece like this. When you put it on a piece of paper, can you see that? Not nearly so bad. Put your mat. And that paper is mellowed right out and actually does speak Christmas. So smaller pieces, again, cutting the fa la la paper, make a border, and much mellower. And these squares, I don't know about you, but I can't imagine myself using a sheet of paper like this. But if I take this paper and cut the squares, you know, we can do some placement here. Bear with me, this is just a quick example. But you get the drift. Put our mat. And when you don't have the perfect embellishments for a page, you can easily have some just by cutting up a piece of loudly patterned paper. The next thing you can do is lightly paint over the paper. So in this example, I used some white acrylic paint. You could also use gesso. In this case, I used acrylic paint. Now remember, acrylic paint is water-based, so use it sparingly because it is going to wrinkle your paper a bit. For my style, that works fine. Also, when I put some adhesive on it, it's going to stay down. Gesso might cause a bit less damage, and if it really bugs you like this, pass the iron over it. Of course, I think if you're adding paint, you're not minding that distress style anyway. But here you can see the difference between the two pieces, just a little more muted. The other thing you can do is use pumice stone distress ink. This is a Tim Holtz distress ink. I once attended a class with Tim Holtz, yes, Tim himself, where he was promoting pumice stone ink, the uncolor he called it, and he explained that's exactly what it was for. Now, I was looking for ugly paper today, and I was having a hard time finding any. I love it all. But sometimes it's not that you hate the paper. It might be just that it doesn't work for your project. So for example, I took these stripes today. They were loud, and I used the pumice stone ink on them. And you can see the difference, how it's become much more muted. This is especially useful for anyone like me who prefers a more vintage style of scrapbooking. And when you're inking, you'll want to use a sponge tool, and you want to work in circular motions so that you don't end up with a big blotch. And the next thing you can do is add a piece of vellum or onion skin or any kind of sheer paper such as tissue paper. You'll remember I showed you this page yesterday, I think it was. It perfectly mutes the red background, so you can still have your background. Just lighten it up with a little bit of lighter paper. You can find tissue paper in boxes of candy between pages of some of your scrapbooks, and even sheets of tissue paper can work. So don't throw them out, keep them in your scrapbook supplies. And the other thing you can do is simply use those ugly pages for your scrapbook. You don't have to throw them out. It doesn't matter if they're ugly, you're going to cover them, write on them, and everything else, and you'll never remember how it looked originally. And that's it for now. Try to incorporate a piece of loud paper into your album, and if you want to, alter it too. And I'll see you tomorrow.